This is one of the last videos. We're going to first talk about concertos. Let's take a look at concertos. There are only two concertos. The concertos are, the first one is a concerto by Johann Christian Bach, which I think I can recognize, and let's take a look at that one. To turn this up. Let's hear it again. It goes up, up, up. There's another one. I think that's Scarlatti, but that's the obnoxious. So that is a concerto. I probably ought to look up the definition of a concerto again. I forget. Let's see if I can turn it up on Google. Concerto features a soloist accompanied by an orchestra. So here the soloist stand out and the orchestra behind. Let's listen to that again. Okay, so that's Johann Christian Bach. That's a concerto. It's concerto for harpsichord or piano and strings, and it's an E-flat major. It's the first movement, allegro di molto. So it's concerto for harpsichord or piano and strings in E-flat major. The allegro di molto, concerto by Johann Christian Bach. So I think let's talk about the other pieces that are in E-flat. There's the Stamitz Symphony, which is also a symphony in E-flat. The Haydn's Joke is a string quartet in E-flat. And the Symphony by Beethoven, Symphony in E-flat, Eroica, Allegro con brio. That symphony is also in E-flat. So you have three E-flat symphonies. Stamitz, Johann Christian Bach. I think there are four. Stamitz and Johann Christian Bach. Stamitz is a symphony in E-flat major. Johann Christian Bach is a concerto, which we're doing today, in E-flat major. The Joke is a string quartet, Haydn in E-flat major, which is the finale presto and rondo form. And then you also have the Ludwig Beethoven's Symphony in E-flat major, which has a repeated motif. It's Eroica, Allegro con brio. So let's review the four things that are in E-flat. The first one is Stamitz. What's the name of that? Symphonia with the S and the F in E-flat major. That's the Allegro Assai, and that is a symphony, of course. And then there is a string quartet in E-flat major. That's Haydn, Franz Joseph Haydn, the Joke. What part of the piece is it? Finale. What's the official finale name? Presto. Just like Symphony in F is the Presto, but that's the first movement. The Joke is the fourth movement. And that is in rondo form. I don't know if it's the fourth movement. I think it is, though, but it's the last movement. And then the next one in E-flat major is Beethoven. What's that one known as? It's also a symphony. That's a symphony in E-flat major. Stamitz is also a symphony, but it's Sin, S-I-N, and Symphon. Actually, it's a Symphone. Yeah, Symphony, F for PH. And then Beethoven's was, what's his E-flat major piece? That's his symphony known as Eroica. Which movement? First, they're all first. What's the name of that movement? Allegro con brio. Allegro con brio. Which movements have allegro in them? Let's take a look at that. There's the Bach, Johann Christian Bach piece, concerto for harpsichord or piano and strings in E flat major. That's allegro di molto. The symphony by Stamitz, symphony in E flat major, is an allegro assai, A-I at the end. The symphony by Franz Joseph Haydn, number 88 in G major, is an adagio allegro. The piano sonata by Mozart, the one that I'm familiar with, sonata in F, is an allegro. There's another one we haven't gotten to, which is the other concerto. That's a concerto in A major, and that's by Mozart, and that's just an allegro. And then there's the pathetic piano sonata in C minor, which is a grave allegro. Then there's Eroica, which is allegro con brio, and that's it. So it's allegro con brio that goes with Beethoven's symphony in E flat major, Eroica. There's the grave allegro, which goes with, let's do the ones that sound like fun, allegro con brio. So allegro con brio is Beethoven's symphony in E flat major, Eroica, allegro con brio. This concerto is allegro di molto. Sounds like sad, but it's not. Or a little allegro, maybe. Maybe it means much. So there's allegro di molto. That goes with Johann Christian Bach's concerto for a harpsichord. There is allegro con brio, which goes with Beethoven's symphony in E flat major, Eroica. And then there's an adagio allegro. That's Franz Joseph Haydn, and that is his symphony in G major. And that's adagio allegro. The grave allegro, that is pathetic by Beethoven, his piano sonata in C minor. And then there were a couple that were just allegro assai. We know that's Stamitz. So, allegro adagio. I want to go through those again. Those are confusing. Use that pencil. Let's just use this. I'm going to mark the allegros. Give me a second here. I'm sorry. Stamitz, allegro assai. Johann Christian Bach, allegro di molto. Another one is allegro con brio. Allegro con brio is Eroica. Eroica, Beethoven's symphony in E flat major. Allegro con brio. These are allegros that have allegro and more. That's one. There are three of them. The other allegro and more is Stamitz, allegro assai. And the last one is the one we're looking at now. Concerto by Johann Christian Bach. It's concerto for harpsichord or piano and strings in E flat major. Allegro di molto. So it's allegro assai, we know that's Stamitz. Allegro di molto, which is Johann Christian Bach. And the allegro con brio, which is Eroica. Allegro con brio. Then there are two just plain allegros. That is the Mozart sonata in F that I know, piano sonata, which is just an allegro, and the concerto that we haven't listened to is just an allegro. And then there are two allegros that have something before them. One is Adagio Allegro. That's Haydn, Symphony in G. Adagio Allegro. And the other one is the Pathetic, Grave Allegro. Pathetic is Grave Allegro. That's the one with the long runs. Haydn is the one with the echo. And then let's listen to the other concerto, which is Mozart's Concerto in A. It's the first movement. This one I have trouble remembering. I just can't remember it. It's the one I don't know. That reminds me of Jupiter. Jupiter's the final movement. Jupiter is a symphony. Jupiter is in C, symphony in C. Let's go find Jupiter again. Symphony in C major. Last movement, the finale, which is magnificent, but this one isn't quite magnificent. Let's go compare that. Maybe that's the one I was listening to. Let's take a look. This is the concerto. Piano concerto in A. First movement, allegro. Reminds me a bit of Jupiter. That is the concerto. So we're looking at Mozart, and then we're going to hear Jupiter. That's pretty magnificent. That's Jupiter. And I think we're going to end there for today. Darn, I'd like to make a longer one. Let's just run through those allegros again. San Martin is not an allegro. Stamets, what's Stamets allegro? Allegro Assassi, that's one I kind of know. Then what is Johann Christian Bach's allegro? Allegro di molto. How about Haydn, Franz Joseph Haydn's Symphony in G as an allegro in it? That's Adagio Allegro. How about Piano Sonata in F by Mozart, which is one I know. Or I don't really know it, but it sounds like one I know. That is simply an allegro. This concerto, which sounds a bit like Jupiter, not as magnificent. Who is this by? Oh, I'm sorry, that's by Mozart. This is also an allegro. What kind of allegro? That's the plain allegro. That's a plain allegro. Then Pathetic, a piano sonata in C minor by Beethoven. And what's this one called? Grave Allegro. And then the symphony by Ludwig Beethoven in E flat major, Eroica. Allegro con brio. Allegro con brio. Okay, that's it for today.